Hello, friends, neighbors. Johnny Rich Neighbor here. Welcome to the Nook. Welcome to Saturday and some big bourbon. I just opened this single barrel store pick Knob Creek. And I'll share some thoughts, obviously, about this. A little more thoughts than review because it's like my second pour. I just opened it last night. And then we'll talk to Booker's because I've got a Booker's on the shelf and I think it's a pretty natural comparison. Very similar ABV. Hey, same distillery. So I think it's kind of cool to talk some big bourbon. So, when we get back, when you pour a little bit of Knob Creek, if you have it, something big, something bold, that'd be great. If you don't, any strong bourbon I think will do. And we'll just talk some Knob Creek and some good bourbon. 3, 4. Thanks for coming back. As I was trying to say in the opener, this will be specific thoughts on this single barrel. Now, sadly, even though I just opened it last night, this one's been off the shelf for a while. Chris, the music man, said, "Hey, John, South Edmonton's got one of these left." It was like 2 years ago. And it's a pick by Ryan Egan for the Wine and Beyond stores. And even though, it says on it aged 9 years, released 60%, Chris was talking to Ryan Egan, and apparently this is actually a 14-year-old bourbon. I guess that's what happens. The label's generic at this point. It's a few years ago. But, they get to try different single barrels, and the one that Ryan picked was actually a 14-year-old bourbon. And I'll tell you, at the time, prices have continued to go up, but even at the time, I absolutely drove down south and picked this up because the price for a 14-year-old bourbon is just insane. Anyways, Knob Creek. If you're a longtime viewer of the channel, I appreciate Knob Creek. It's just a great bourbon. Now that it's back into 9 years, it's often on the shelf for, 45 Canadian, which I think right now for what it offers is really, really good. This, as I said, single barrel pick, so it'll have some unique flavors that Ryan Egan liked. It is 60%, but if they're still around, I don't see them as much. The Knob Creek single barrel store picks have often been a great value. Let's see what this one's like, just to share some thoughts. It's bright. It's brown sugar, cinnamon. For me, the fruit right now on the nose is a little more cherry. I know, being a Jim Beam product, lots of times I'm wondering, are we going into peanut right away? But at this point right now, I'm more in sugars and red cherries, brown sugars cooked. Now there's a little sharpness on the nose there, a little bit oak, like a fresh oak. Yeah, okay. Let's give it a try. It's going to be a little bit bold at 60. Cheers. Oh, but that's really good. Yeah, it's strong, and because of its ABV, it's got a lot more, pepper and spice to it that I would normally say I would get from Knob Creek. But it's got lots of that cooked down brown sugars and cinnamons and sweet oaks. This one's a little sweeter for me. I said a little peppering. Early finish is quite char oak. Like I don't normally give a lot of oak character to Knob Creek, but maybe this single barrel was just having a little different interaction, and it's given a fair amount of that note. Boy, that's good. That is so good. It is a little bit. I was gonna go with bitter, but I'm trying to say just on the end. Maybe not bitter. Maybe it's more a little. The cherry gets a little sour cherry. The oak gets a little too much oak, actually. I'm quite surprised because that's not usually what I get with Knob Creek, but I do know that Ryan Egan, now that I've had most of his single barrel picks, tends to like a little more wood expression in his bourbon. This is fantastic. Really it is. Obviously I should have a little bit of water in there to bring it down to something, or take smaller sips and just relax and enjoy it. It's got lots of full cinnamon, lots of good, I'm going to go with cherry. The cherry sours a bit on the end, and the oak really is part of it at the end as well. That might be the criticism. And I said, I'm just not deep enough into it to give it a star rating, but if I were to see it on the shelf, I'd buy it again. So that means it's some pretty good bourbon. So I looked what I had around and I thought a natural comparison would be Booker's because it's also from Jim Beam. This Booker's is 2021-01. So that's Donahoe's batch, I believe. I'll put the particulars down here, but it's about 62.95%, 6 years, 11 months, something like that. And again, if you're a long-term viewer of the channel, you already know that I like Booker's and that I have reviewed this, and I think I've referenced it twice, but I haven't had it in quite a while, and I haven't had it directly following this store pick from Knob Creek. So I thought, you know what? This would be a nice little comparison, 60 to 62. So they're very similar ABVs, same house. Of course, they're chosen different. This is a single barrel pick. This will be a few different barrels that have been married together and then released. So this Booker's 2021-01 on the nose. Boy, in direct comparison, it's actually sweeter, more like vanilla frosting. Yeah, and this is that sour cherries coming through. Definitely. And right now, just in straight comparison, I'm almost getting a little more sweet nut, like an almond, some sweeter oaks and frosting, vanilla frosting. Yeah, I don't remember saying that last time I had it. And that's why it's sometimes fun just to taste sort of in comparison or directly in context with another great bourbon. Let's give it a sip. Cheers. So this is giving a lot more roasted, toasted notes. Definitely getting peanut brittle, butter toffee, pastries, butter tarts. So a lot more butter, a lot more roasted. That peanut brittle is that cooked, almost brown sponge toffee. Another quick sip. The fruiting is lighter. It's almost an apple, red apple fruiting. It's not got that dark cherry, dark brown, dark burnt brown. This is candied, sugared, sweeter, lots more nut expression. And less overall oak. Now it's hot. You know what? Now I'm getting a little burn on the palate and on the edge of the tongue. In direct comparison, I actually like this Booker's more. And going in, because I just opened this last night and I haven't had this for a year. I don't know. I was thinking, oh, this is a monster. It's a good bourbon. But I had forgotten how much I really enjoy this batch. I got to get a new batch of Booker's and then shoot it against this to see if I still like it. But this right here, 4.25 for sure. Like 4.5 right now, just in my mood. This is really, really good bourbon. Now they're big and bold and strong and should be watered down to taste and all of those careful notes. If you're tuned in and you're just kind of getting into bourbon, know that these are bruisers. But this is very, very tasty, sweeter, full of nut. Now it's younger, so maybe it's more aggressive. This is definitely, this 14 is almost twice as old. And what that's doing today is really speaking oak. So maybe I need to dial it in a bit with water to see where that balance is just right. Thanks for joining me here. Hope you guys are having a great, great Saturday. Take care.